Hello and welcome to the Skift Meetings podcast. I'm Skift Meetings Executive Editor Andrea Doyle. Today we're talking about the growing popularity of mocktails and how they are replacing alcoholic beverages at many events. To explore this topic further, we're joined today by Priyanka Kampella of Zero Proofed.
Hey there, it's Seth Borko, the head of Skift Research, and I've got a brand new report that I want to share with you today. It's called our State of Travel 2024 report. It's perhaps the single most comprehensive report we do every year, and the best part, it's free to download right now. We have 350 plus insights in this report with pretty much a chart for basically any sector. Do you need a chart on hotels? We've got that. A chart on airlines? We've got it. A chart on consumer behavior? Guess what? We've got that too. I really appreciate if you check out our State of Travel report. You can download it now by going to skift.com/state of travel with dashes between every word. So that's skift.com/state-of-travel. Download the report, check it out, and let me know what you think. I hope you enjoy.
Hi, Priyanka.
Hi, Andrea. How are you doing today?
Doing great, and I really appreciate you joining us. But before we get started, a little housekeeping. Don't forget to follow or subscribe to this podcast wherever you're listening or watching. And if you're enjoying the show, please rate us 5 stars or leave us a positive review so we can spread the word about the Skift Meetings podcast. And if you have a moment, why not share with a friend or colleague? Let's get started. So there are various studies out there that report there's a generational shift in attitudes towards alcohol. Younger generations are increasingly health conscious about alcohol compared to their older counterparts. Do you feel this is fueling the mocktail craze?
Yeah, absolutely. And I would see this more as less of a craze than like a shift in thinking, There have been for generations, we've had options at bars that are non-alcoholic. However, they've always been water or seltzer or something that comes from a soda fountain. And now I think we're seeing the shift of like being able to talk about not wanting to consume alcohol for any given occasion. Maybe it's a choice that you're making in the moment. Maybe it's something you've made as a personal journey choice. But we're seeing the shift of not wanting to consume alcohol, but then also wanting dignified options to replace them. So rather than a soda, which has a really high sugar content, we're reaching for options that may even be healthier and just leave you feeling better. So that's non-alcoholic cocktails with spirits, spirit bases, botanicals, and then some functional ingredients as well that can help you feel that jolt of energy or that boost in emotional regulation just through functional ingredients like B12, ashwagandha, L-theanine, magnesium, and other adaptogens.
So these types of ingredients with health benefits actually get into they're part of the mocktail. Can you explain?
Yeah, of course. So when we looked at the label of the category of mocktail 2 years ago when we founded Zero Proofed, we realized that mocktail actually was a very I would say immature category at the time. There hadn't been a lot of development and a lot of innovation in the category. So oftentimes you'd see a mocktail be served as a Sprite with ice, mint, maybe some syrup on top of that. And really, it's a mocktail was categorized as something that did not have alcohol, but may have all of the other ingredients that alcohol. That when we saw that, like the mocktail options that exist, we realized that there wasn't a lot of room for making those a little bit more sophisticated and dignified, because when you're putting soda plus a syrup, you're ending up with around like 30 to 70 grams of sugar per serving of your drink. And when we oftentimes with alcohol, we like to consume multiple drinks over the course of a social setting. You're oftentimes you just have a drink over in your hand for, let's say, a 2-hour happy hour or a wedding or sorts. So when you're doing that, you actually can't consume that much sugar in a mocktail. So we actually completely dismantled the idea of a mocktail. And that's why we often call our beverages non-alcoholic cocktails. And that's because we're rebuilding that category with multiple premium ingredients. So we start with a spirit base. That could be a non-alcoholic spirit that functions like a one-to-one replacement to alcohol, or it could be a botanical spirit. That's oftentimes a water-based infusion of different flavors and herbs, fruit bases, but it is like a distilled water essentially that functions as your spirit. And in order to, so that's like your base, and in order to open it up, kind of like a wine glass does to wine, you actually have to add a bunch of other ingredients to make your cocktail. So the important parts of those are like texture and some mixers that can open up that spirit. So with a non-alcoholic cocktail, we'll start with that base, add some texture that could come with bubbles. It could come from a muddle of fruit. It could come from really any mixers that you routinely find on the market. And then on top of that, you could add that functional ingredient that I was referring to earlier. So that oftentimes those are vitamins, minerals, probiotics that just help with the add some function to your cocktail that while you're sipping on it, maybe you're sipping on it for social in a social setting, you're also feeling the benefits of drinking a healthier alternative.
So it sounds as if it's something that tastes great, but it's also good for you.
Yeah. Oftentimes you're seeing significantly less sugar and low calories. We really don't take into most times we don't take into account how much sugar and calories alcohol will pack into a cocktail. You're really over consuming your daily value when you're consuming an alcoholic cocktail. And it's surprising, but oftentimes those mocktails, especially non-alcoholic cocktails that are mindfully crafted to be better for you, are significantly healthier because they're lower sugar and lower calorie.
Tell us a little bit about Zero Proof. When did you start the company and why?
Yeah, of course. So I founded Zero Proofed in the fall of 2022 with my sister and co-founder, Chirismita Campella. And we started after several years of ideation on this topic. So when I graduated college, graduated from Cornell in 2018. And around that time, I was really reaching for ways to celebrate and spend time with my friends intentionally. So I was looking for ways to incorporate like celebratory beverages and go out with my friends and just really commiserate on like celebrating the final year of college. And I could not find any options besides your normal college town bar with uh, alcoholic drinks and then some very sugary mocktails. And at that time, I was also going through a health journey of my own where I realized that in order to curb some of the inflammatory diseases that I was having, such as eczema and just fatigue, run of the mill, I needed to cut down on the sugar content that I was intaking daily. So I was looking for healthy options. Fast forward to time in the corporate sector, I worked in entertainment and then also in robotics and actually using robots for entertainment at in theme parks. So, wow, that was yeah. Basically, we were working on advanced animatronics, and it was a very exciting time. We were working on cutting edge technology. And there was a lot of moments to celebrate, take out our business partners for dinner, things like that. And was still searching and grasping for these opportunities to celebrate and participate in these moments without consuming alcohol because I wasn't feeling it. And did not find any aside from a Shirley Temple or an iced tea. And those got really boring. So through this like corporate journey of happy hours and business travel and everything, I was really trying to figure out ways to fill this gap that I was noticing, which is being able to participate with a glass of something sophisticated in hand and not feel like I was sitting at the kids' table. So, yeah, after 4 or 5 years in the corporate sector, I brought this back to my sister, who had just recently graduated college as well. And we decided to really just go all in on the idea and really create a company and a business and a movement out of it. So when we started Zero Proofed in fall of 2022, we really were coming in with no experience. Both of us were working as engineers in the industry. I was working in rockets actually at the time, so really no marketing experience. But we started Zero Proofed as a brand. We did all of our branding, all of our graphic design in house. We put it out there, and then within 3 weeks, we launched our first Zero Proofed bar party, and we partnered with local businesses in Venice and other companies that were also creating this NA category with us. So NA spirits and NA beverage mixers, and put together a really exciting event. We had no idea how many people would show up, what would happen during the event, what the dynamics and the social mood and feeling would be. But people seemed to be so excited about this idea that Eater LA picked it up. We got about 150 people to show up to the first event. And it was very exciting to see. We had a live band karaoke at our first event, which means that there was a band of like 5 people on stage, and you sign up to go sing with them.
Wow.
And for a alcohol-free event, oftentimes you'd think that like no one would want to go on stage without the liquid courage that ethanol provides. But actually there was a wait list the entire night. People felt like it was a very like open environment where people felt like they could be themselves, like actually authentically themselves. And really it was because we had taken off this barrier of like, oh, I need to get drunk enough to participate or like do something weird or sing on stage when I'm not a singer. And that breakdown of that barrier allowed people to become this authentic person and go up and meet people and socialize. And that was our proof of concept. So from there, we've just been hosting pop-ups. We'll do bar programs for corporate events. We'll do weddings, baby showers, anything really.
So you recently did a team building corporate event in Las Vegas. Can you touch upon that?
Yeah, of course. So we recently partnered up with Caesars Entertainment and CMI which is a event planning company, and we put together a corporate event where we were doing team building with non-alcoholic cocktails. So what we ended up doing was a mixology 101 class for about a little less than 100 folks on Mixology 101, and then we broke up into teams and did a mixology competition where we provided a bunch of the ingredients that I was mentioning before, the spirits, the mixers, the fruit, tomato, the oils and functional ingredients, and then options for garnishes. And give it with our mixology guide and the ingredients all available. These teams went into a brainstorming period to figure out what cocktail they wanted to design and what functional or botanical purpose it would provide, a name, and then the recipe. And then at the end, it was exciting. It kind of felt like a cooking show. It got very intense. These teams were very excited to bring together something that was very sophisticated. And at the end, we had a judges panel, and the teams presented their cocktail with the name, the purpose of the cocktail, and it was very exciting to see how different the recipes ended up becoming from each of these teams. There are 10 teams, I believe, just with like the same set of ingredients. So, yeah.
So, do you feel like a mocktail team building activity like that and just mocktails in general make everyone feel included? Is there an inclusion part of it?
Yeah, I do think that like it levels the playing field to have something in your glass that you don't have to worry about. So when we started the event, actually, we had everyone, we had poured lavender French 75s for everyone to kind of like whet their appetite, taste what like a non-alcoholic cocktail could taste like. So everyone had a champagne flute in their hand, regardless of whether they drank alcohol, they didn't, whatever their health circumstance was, it just didn't come up. And we find that for especially in communities where it is very stigmatized to not consume alcohol, like a lot of questions come up. It's really freeing to not have to have those discussions, especially in a work environment where you really don't want to talk about why you're not drinking alcohol. It can be a very personal thing. So it does level that playing field.
Because, like you said, I mean, people don't drink for medical reasons, for religious reasons, and there's those that are participating in AA. So, why even have to explain? So, that's why I feel mocktails do level the playing field.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. And then like on top of that, like for a team building workshop like this, like being able to take something new, these ideas that we spelled out in like this mixology 101 class, where we had touched on the balance between texture, flavor, and presentation. It was almost very exciting to be able to go back and apply all of these ideas. It was almost like I think like a problem solving game to like balance the texture, flavor, and presentation of these cocktails. And I felt like the teams could really try all of the ingredients without being worried about what they were consuming. So that was really nice for the team building part of it. It was like these ingredients were all accessible, all you could really balance how much sugar you're putting into the cocktail without having to work against ethanol and things like that. And then people could have multiple of these tasters and really test out the ingredients before putting it in. And I feel, and that's a little bit difficult with ethanol mixology because you start to feel the effects after consuming it.
Are you tired of sifting through endless resumes looking for the perfect candidate to fill a leadership opening? Skift Executive Search can help. We have an insider view of the travel industry and can leverage both our expertise and connections to find your next rockstar hire. To learn more, visit skift.com/exec-search or email us at execsearch@skift.com.
And in the past, mocktails were heavy with sugar and different syrups. But by you taking these different botanicals, you cut down on that. Can you explain some of the other botanicals you use? You mentioned B12 and ashwagandha.
Yeah. So yeah, I will say that like a lot of mocktails and non-alcoholic cocktails at restaurants and bar programs right now are still very heavy in sugar. So I would not necessarily tell people to go grab a mocktail, like thinking that it was better for you. I think like it's still very important to watch what's out in the industry because a lot of bar programs have not caught up yet. But the recipes that we're creating, they're using like the base of it, the spirit. These are botanicals that are available as NA spirits. So one of the brands that we love working with is Free Spirits. They are a spirit brand that has four SKUs. They have a gin, like a spirit of gin, a spirit of tequila, and a spirit of bourbon, and then a Milano as well, which is like kind of like an Aperol. It has a lot of Italian bitters flavors. So these four SKUs that this brand has, they're really like a one-for-one replacement for a liquor, which is really exciting. So you can go in and like take this your gin and make a bee's knees, and use it in the same quantity. The next step to that is actually because these non-alcoholic spirits don't have ethanol in them, they actually don't require as much sugar to balance the cocktail out. like oftentimes you pack more sugar into a cocktail in order to fight the to overcome the overpowering taste of ethanol. But once you strip that away, you're actually able to taste and appreciate a little bit more of the flavor of the other ingredients in your cocktail. So because of that, you really don't need as much sugar in a non-alcoholic cocktail. Um, so there's that. And then there are the calories and sugar that you're normally seeing in a spirit. Um, the calorie content of these water-based spirits are close to zero. So there's opportunity there to make it healthier. Then the tinctures that we're adding, like B12, ashwagandha, these are just supplements to your cocktail that you can play around with. We've recently started playing around with kava, and I know there are other companies that are coming up with ready to drink cocktails that have CBD in them that has calming properties. And then a lot of companies are working on the gut health angle. Actually, like because you're not consuming alcohol, it's actually a little bit healthier for your gut health overall and your microbiome. So just supporting that even more and keeping your gut regulation ends up having some more emotional and psychological benefits as well.
And do you feel the sober curious movement is contributing to the popularity of mocktails, especially mocktails that are healthy?
Yeah, for sure. So I think the most common audience for this movement and for the industry itself is people that don't necessarily want to opt out of alcohol, but want options. So like maybe they have a big meeting the next day, or they're running a marathon the next day. A lot of the people that will consume non-alcoholic cocktails and these non-alcoholic spirits and ready to drink cans as well, they're really opting for those options. And I think the sober curious movement specifically has given a voice to these people that want this option but don't necessarily want to lean into being fully sober, or don't want to label themselves. Like sober curiosity, I think, has allowed that to happen. And now I think that because we've kind of broken down the stigma of talking about alcohol or the lack thereof in our lives, like I see people often come up to me and they're like, yeah, well, I just like in the last few years, I really haven't been drinking anyways because it doesn't serve me, or I can't process it as well as I used to. So now I think we're actually like moving for like we're post the sober curious movement. Like I think we're past the peak of that trend, and we're more into this like mindful drinking. And yeah, I guess mindful drinking is the way I describe it, of like being conscientious and intentional about when you do consume or don't consume alcohol.
And especially in meetings and conferences.
Yes, yeah. Especially, yeah, because at conferences, you're going like 3 days strong, and there's normally like every meeting has an open bar, and you have a drink in your hand while you're socializing, networking, and connecting. I found as a 5 foot female, I couldn't actually consume that much alcohol to begin with, so I was very early opting out of like alcoholic drinks. And yeah, as I mentioned before, like the iced teas just get really boring.
So dry January has grown in popularity year after year. Has that fueled the mocktail popularity?
Yeah, I think so. It's very surprising. You'll oftentimes when people opt out of alcohol, they'll see benefits almost immediately, but then you kind of plateau. There's been research that shows that it does take several weeks for your system to reset and feel the longer term benefits of not drinking alcohol. So with Dry January, this challenge of not drinking for 30 days, it has one like fueled this just awareness of appreciating um, what purpose alcohol serves in your life, and then how it also affects your body. but then also it has boosted the sales and revenue of these other brands that are providing other options besides alcohol, because oftentimes it's really hard to cut alcohol out completely when it's such a big part of culture. Like sharing a glass of wine at a dinner party with your friends, or at a game night, or even a happy hour. Like that's just such a big part of culture. So some of the hardest parts about Dry January are like actually people find that they have nothing to do. Like they can't go to the bar, they can't participate in the same ways that they used to in their social circles. So these brands and these alternatives have really given people the opportunity to participate in Dry January more and lean in. And then mutually beneficial to the brands is like this awareness that like at a social event during Dry January, you often have those options of non-alcoholic drinks. And we're really working towards like having those options at events and conferences and work things throughout the entire year. But Dry January is a good start to it.
Let's talk about costs. So Skift Meetings is having an event during IMEX, which is in Las Vegas next week. And we looked into serving mocktails, and we were surprised to learn they're more expensive than traditional cocktails.
Oh, wow. That is surprising. I have seen that the non-alcoholic cocktails can be at par with the cost of alcoholic cocktails. And then mocktails, I typically see they're a little bit lower priced. The distinction I'm making here is that mocktails don't contain any spirit or the functional ingredients in it, and then the non-alcoholic cocktails do contain those any spirits and those functional ingredients. Those spirits and functional ingredients are actually quite level with alcoholic spirits. So a bottle of non-alcoholic gin is going to be a similar priced bottle to an alcoholic gin. So that's probably why you're seeing that the similar cost. With a mocktail, it is just a fountain soda or a bottled Sprite or something like that, and that does lower the cost. But then again, like that, people are less likely to actually use those options because of the sugar content, and oftentimes they're just a little bit too sweet to have one full drink or even multiple. But yeah, I'd be very curious to know a little bit more about that breakdown and understand why these non-alcoholic drinks are a little bit more expensive. There are other it is harder for bar programs to come up with these non-alcoholic cocktails, and because sometimes I've seen that oftentimes, even if there is a non-alcoholic option, bars don't actually print it on their menu. So people are less likely to get that option because they don't know it exists. So that is something that this category is really fighting with, is getting the exposure and awareness that these options exist, even if the bar it does have it on their program, so that the consumption increases and it's less expensive for a bar to carry, because shelf space is very expensive, especially with events. You're popping up. The logistics of carrying a specific bottle and SKU are expensive. So if you have to keep track of inventory for bottles rather than full cases of your alcoholic alternative, just becomes another annoyance. But if there's more awareness and very well crafted cocktails that are non-alcoholic, I think over time the cost of these.
Okay. At the beginning of the podcast, we talked a bit about the team building activity you helped plan in Las Vegas. Is this something you do with many companies, that you'll come in and create a non-alcoholic cocktail making activity that helps build team camaraderie?
Yeah, absolutely. We've partnered with several corporations at this point to provide team building. And we will do cocktail classes. That was the first competition we did, but it was super successful, really cool to execute. And then we'll also just do bar pop-ups. Like we'll do a non-alcoholic happy hours for companies if they want to just do an afternoon of social activity. That's been pretty fun. We'll like do custom branded cocktail recipes, something that goes with the brand of the company. So yeah, it's exciting how many creative outlets there are with non-alcoholic cocktails. We don't have to work around any permits like that. We don't have to fill those standard alcohol permits, at least in the state of California. So we just have a lot more opportunity to work with it.
And is it turnkey? You come in and provide all the ingredients and
Yeah, absolutely. It depends on the scale that you're working with, but right now our team is capable of popping up a turnkey bar program for any event. In California, we have a lovely staff of bartenders that are all professional bartenders and really enjoy the sober curious non-alcoholic space because of how respectful it is and empowering. So yeah, we have a lovely team of bartenders. We have a full set of production equipment for an event like this.
but will you do events all over the country, or right now it's just in California?
We'll do events all over the country. So far we've done events in Denver, Seattle, San Francisco, San Diego, and then LA.
Okay.
But we're hoping to expand to wherever the interest lies.
So you talked about being an engineer and involved in robotics. Any chance you'll ever have a robot serving non-alcoholic beverages?
Hopefully soon. Yeah. Yeah. It's funny. Both my sister, co-founder, and I work in water rights as well and water usage. And I'm currently developing a machine that will create water from air. And so hopefully we will use those robots to create water from air, make a non-alcoholic cocktail, and then serve it out to the community.
Well, that's amazing. What does the future hold for Zero Proofed and for, the whole non-alcoholic cocktail industry?
Yeah, the future for Zero Proofed, we're hoping to just continue growing. We've worked with some larger clients in the last couple of months, which has been exciting. It's giving us a real confidence that this idea of non-alcoholic cocktails is going mainstream, which is great for us because that means everyone will have access to these options. So yeah, we hope non-alcoholic cocktails, these spirits become household things that you have on your bar. We currently have non-alcoholic cocktail kits on our website that anyone can purchase in the US, and we will ship everything you need to create a sophisticated cocktail in there. These recipes are tried and true based on 40 pop-up events where we've gotten data from our guests on which recipes they enjoy the most. So on Zero Proof, that's what we hope to grow into a little bit more. And then for the non-alcoholic cocktail category, the goal is that every restaurant and bar program has these options on their menu. And I sincerely hope that the corporate events and conferences sector also embraces non-alcoholic cocktails, because I do think that as far as work culture and team building goes, it is a very positive way to create a safe and creative environment for your team.
Any tips you could share with meeting professionals who want to incorporate an activity like this into their own conferences?
Yeah, of course. Well, first thing, you should contact us on our website. Our email is on our website at getzeroproof.com. But if you would like to do something a little bit smaller scale, we're always happy to ideate with you. But then also just reach out to your catering company or your venue to see if they have non-alcoholic cocktail options. If they do, that's awesome. You can lean into those. If they don't, or if there's some sort of barrier that's not allowing you to lean into that, there are quite a few non-alcoholic mixologists now that are willing to help provide the necessary things. So with Zero Proof, will come in as non-alcoholic mixologists and work with your catering company or venue to ship the ingredients, because the distribution makes it a little bit challenging to get these non-alcoholic options. So yeah, you can work with a mixologist like Zero Proof, and then also just realizing that like it is very important to have an option that is non-alcoholic, that's not high in sugar, because so many times I was talking to a friend the other day that was very excited that their work party had a mocktail option, but she said that they were really only able to consume a quarter of it because it was a blueberry mojito with Sprite and blueberry syrup and mint.
Oh,
yeah. And like she was like, everyone was very excited to try the non-alcoholic option. Like actually more people had that in their hand than the alcoholic cocktail, but people were not consuming it all the way because it was just too sweet. So putting just as much attention to the non-alcoholic option you're providing is, I think, very important, because you might not see as much consumption if the cocktail on the menu is not the right mix, or it's just is not sophisticated or dignified.
so it's great to have the option of no alcohol, but it's also great to keep health in mind. And when you have that much sugar, that's not a healthy alternative.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, this has been great. I really appreciate your time, and cheers.
Thank you. Cheers. Yeah, I don't have a non-alcoholic cocktail in my hand, but I'll cheers with this coffee.
Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
Hey there, if you're listening to us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you listen to your podcasts, please make sure to subscribe, rate us 5 stars, or leave us a positive review. That really helps us get out the word about the Skift Meetings podcast and make sure that we can continue to bring you this podcast every week, absolutely free of charge. If you're watching on YouTube, make sure to subscribe to the Skift channel and hit the notification bell to find out whenever a new video drops.
With more than 50 articles per week, exclusive feature stories twice a month, live events, podcasts, reports, and more, Skift is the source for global travel industry news. See what we've been up to at skift.com and stay ahead with the latest insights and trends shaping the future of travel.